The NFT market is twofold. First of all, it has to do with art, which is an entire discussion in and of itself that we're going to get into later, and it has to do with technology. This article is talking about the technology of NFTs. As you guys know, the technology on Ethereum is relatively outdated. We're looking at things like the EIP, Ethereum Improvement Proposal 1559, coming out to help lower those gas fees. The exorbitant cost of sending transactions and NFTs on the Ethereum blockchain makes small transactions unfeasible right now. However, this development called BSC, it's called Bakery Swap, it exists on the smart chain over on Binance, is looking to solve that. So we're going to talk about this briefly. BSC will overtake Ethereum in NFT market share, trading platform predicts. One of the largest NFT platforms on Binance Smart Chain has predicted this blockchain will overtake Ethereum as the biggest destination for non-fungible tokens. This is really interesting, guys, because this poses a potential investment opportunity, because if the platform behind NFTs shifts, you are going to want to be a part of that platform, and that very well may be why Binance Coin just hit all-time high, and it might indicate that it's going to go much farther if NFTs start living on the Binance blockchain. Very big deal for Binance adoption. Trader Michael von de Poppy, I have no clue how to pronounce that, so forgive me for all of my Deutsch speakers out there. Dankeschön, I appreciate it. He reveals his maximum price targets for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, and 5 other cryptocurrency assets, and they are massive. Closely followed trader, we're going to call him Mike, is unveiling how high Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, and a handful of other crypto assets can rise before the bull market expires. In a new tweet, Mike tells his 192,000 followers, drop a 1 in chat if you'd like to see him join us on stream, we might try and do that he expects BTC to end the bull market with a price tag between $350,000 and $450,000. From BTC's current value of $58,400, the trader's apex target represents an upside potential of over 670%. For context, guys, that would take you something like 30 years to achieve in the stock market, if not even longer. Moving quickly through this, he also believes that Ethereum will climb to between $10,000 and $17,500 before the end of the bull cycle, and he also believes that Cardano will rally to between $10 and $20. I'm actually pretty much in agreement with this Cardano price prediction of around $10 to $20 by the end of the bull cycle. I think it'll be somewhere between 8 and 15. Makes a lot of sense. He says that DOT could be trading between 250 and 350, which it is currently sitting around 44. That would be a large rally. And then we also see that he predicts Chainlink between 250 and 350, ZIL between $5 and $7, eGold between $500 and $700, and DIA between 50 and 75. Cardano boss explains why Africa will leapfrog the rest of the world in blockchain adoption. Charles Hoskin said the Cardano ecosystem would benefit greatly from Africa's accelerating infrastructure development. By implementing a blockchain backbone, Hodgkinson sees the continent leapfrogging other nations in the coming decade. By the way, I harp on this book almost every single stream, but I'm going to harp on it again. If you haven't read the Bitcoin Standard, you need to. If you read that book, you will fully understand why Africa is about to become an economic juggernaut of the 21st century, and Cardano and Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are going to be a huge part of that. Shout out to all of our African viewers. Looking forward to seeing that happen. Why is Cardano focusing on Africa? When asked why Cardano is targeting Africa, Hoskinson said the region represents a promising prospect, especially now in 2021, which wasn't the case 10 years and before. They have grown very quickly, by the way, guys. Africa is one of the fastest growing economic regions in the world, and for good reason. He explained that Africa is rising in terms of technological development. First is the expansion of internet infrastructure in the region, and more importantly, the rate at which internet adoption is occurring. It's going exponential at this moment in history. Hoskinson said that this fits with a younger demographic of digital natives who are tech savvy, as well as a younger, more in-tune leadership that's cognizant of blockchain technology's potential benefits. If you look at Starlink, if you look at the rate of people coming online, if you look at the demographics of the governments, it used to be all the leaders were in their 70s and 80s, and they were the kind of leftovers from bad eras. Now they're younger. They're in their 40s and their 50s. They're Western educated. But the biggest driver of change in Africa is the need to overhaul every major administrative, legislative, and especially financial system over the next decade or so, which is exactly what Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and blockchain technology is here to do. Give an example of Pakistan's phone network. Hoskinson said officials in the country do not go down the copper cable route. Instead, Pakistan jumped on 4G towers. This gave better coverage at a fraction of the cost and reduced installation time, using technology to bring millions of people online into the 21st century and utilize technology to make the most of that human capital and the intelligence on that continent. This is incredible, guys. I think that's all I wanted to read on this article, guys. What I'm trying to point out here is that Cardano is not just a cryptocurrency that is aimed at making you money, in the same way that Bitcoin is not a cryptocurrency that was designed to make you rich. These cryptocurrencies are designed to solve an intrinsic problem that humanity as a whole faces, and that, my friends, is why I am a huge proponent of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ethereum, and Cardano, because these three projects are at the forefront of solving huge technological issues that have plagued humanity for thousands and thousands of years, and Hoskinson sees this. He believes, and that's what it all boils down to, is what do you believe? Hoskinson believes that if he can bring the African continent online into the 21st century and have them utilize blockchain technology, they will build a civilization founded on limited supply coins like Cardano. Cardano is a limited supply cryptocurrency. Utilize blockchain technology and make the most of the resources at hand. Coinbase registers 114.9 million shares for public listing. In case you didn't know, Coinbase is going IPO. What's an IPO, Jeb? An IPO is an initial public offering. It's what happened when a private company like ours, the company that runs this YouTube channel, goes public and gets listed on a stock exchange. When they do that, then the public is able to invest in the company. For example, Apple went IPO in, I believe, 1984. Google went IPO in like 2003 or something. Facebook went IPO in, I think, 2000, somewhere around the mid-2000s. I don't remember the date on Google and Facebook. But the point is, those companies eventually got listed on a stock exchange. Coinbase is getting listed on a stock exchange on the 14th of this month, 7 days from today. The S1A form published Wednesday states that Coinbase plans to the resale of 114 million shares of Class A common stock for proposed maximum offering price of $943 million. So they're going live with a market cap of just under $1 billion, which will likely rally very quickly because many estimates puts Coinbase's value currently at $20 billion. In case you're looking for a good stock to buy into, Coinbase is one of them. We don't talk stocks too much, but we're probably about to start because of this. Guys, Coinbase, great stock to invest in. I am more than likely going to be buying some of it myself. It says that value is only a guide because it will depend on the pricing of shares at the time of the offering, which is undervalued. Let me be very clear. Coinbase is going live with undervalued stocks, as companies tend to do. So keep an eye on this stock. It is a very large opportunity for you. We're talking about like we're talking about potentially 1,000% return from a stock. Big deal. Anyway, we'll talk about that in future videos. Let's see here. The company will be treated as an emerging growth company. Bloomberg put the valuation at nearly $100 billion. So actually, what I was saying about $20 billion, Bloomberg says it's 5 times more valuable than that. I don't know that it's worth $100 billion. I kind of disagree with Bloomberg there. But the point is, it's worth a lot more than what is being listed as, which means there is a large amount of opportunity here. Guys, the point is, Coinbase is going live. Grayscale is an investment bank. Tim can give a little bit more information about Grayscale after I'm done reading this. It's 100% committed to converting a GBTC into an ETF. What does that mean? An ETF is something called a derivative. ETF stands for Exchange Traded Fund. So I have a sticky note right here. It says 1 Bitcoin on it. What's 1 Bitcoin trading at right now? 1 Bitcoin is trading at $56,700. I'm going to sell you, Tim, take this from me. I'm going to sell you this sticky note for $57,000 on Bitcoin. So you've just bought a sticky note for $57,000 because it is pegged to the underlying price of Bitcoin.
That would mean I had $57,000, which is kind of nice.
Yes, but did you actually buy Bitcoin?
I didn't.
You didn't actually buy Bitcoin.
I bought a sticky note.
What you bought is a representation of Bitcoin, right?
Yes.
That sticky note is called a derivative. If you've ever been curious about what the hell a derivative is, that's what a derivative is. It's simply a contract that says I own something pegged to the price of this. Notice I didn't sell Tim Bitcoin. I sold him something pegged to the price of Bitcoin. So now, Tim, I'm going to buy that back from you, and Bitcoin's trading at $65,000. So give me this. Here's $65,000. You just made $7,000, right?
Yes.
Again, did any Bitcoin actually change hands? No, just a contract representative of the price of Bitcoin changed hands. What that means is that there was actually no value put into Bitcoin. So if you're wondering what an exchange traded fund is, it's a type of derivative. I just explained to you what a derivative is. Grayscale is talking about a Bitcoin ETF. Bitcoin ETFs are going to drive a massive amount of adoption to Bitcoin for the same reason they drove a massive amount of adoption for gold. Look at this chart. The blue line down here, I hope I'm saying the colors right. You guys know I'm colorblind. This line down here represents the average growth per year of gold before 2004, when the first U.S. exchange traded fund derivative of gold came out. Then you see how gold's price rallied on a percentage basis after 2004. Clearly, there was a big shift after that derivative came out. Drove a lot of attention to gold.
What this person on this Twitter post is saying is that look at what happened when gold had an ETF come out in 2004 and how it grew. Now that we're going to have one for crypto, or even more specifically for Bitcoin, what is Bitcoin going to do? In which case, some people were kind of like, well, Bitcoin is not the same because it's easier to get a hold of than gold, which is kind of true in a way, and yet not at the same time.
The reason that an ETF, the reason I brought up this whole idea of explaining what a derivative is is because of this. Gold did not increase in value because people were buying gold on an ETF. We just learned that it's a derivative, so the value that people put into the ETF did not actually impact the price of gold because they're not actually buying gold. So therefore, by the laws of supply and demand, the demand didn't actually go up because it wasn't attached. We just saw the demand was over here somewhere off in the ether in the derivatives market. The reason that gold rallied was because of weakness in the U.S. dollar that started in the 2001 recession. There was a recession after the terror attacks. It had to do with the dot-com bubble. I'm not going to get into that. There was a recession leading to inflation in the dollar. That combined with the fact that more people were interested in gold meant that more people went and bought the underlying asset, which is gold. That led to a massive increase in gold. Think about it like this. The gold ETF going live was akin to a marketing stunt. It was akin to the ETF saying, hey world, look at this. Gold's amazing. You should buy gold. And what did the world say? They said, oh my gosh, I hate fiat currencies. Let's go buy gold. Same thing we can expect to happen on Bitcoin. The world is going to say, oh my gosh, these massive cryptocurrencies are now being adopted by all these massive institutions. This Bitcoin ETF is going to act like a massive marketing stunt for Bitcoin, and a ton of people are going to buy it for that reason. That is why I believe it's going to lead to a massive increase in Bitcoin, is because it's going to put Bitcoin's name even more on the map today than it already has been. Miami is collaborating with Ethereum developers to put city services on blockchain. Miami Mayor Francis Suarez turned heads earlier this year when he said that the Florida city is going to add Bitcoin to its treasury. Now Suarez is pushing a commitment for the city to explore crypto by turning his attention to none other than Ethereum. To be sure, it's early days for this initiative, but the two have met on 2 occasions now. That's Vitalik Buterin, the co-founder of Ethereum, and Mayor Suarez to talk about the scope of the initiative to continue. We're trying to come up with a project that goes through the foundation, the Ethereum Foundation that is, directly with Ethereum, and see what we can do with the city, says Suarez. We want the city directly involved in a way that demonstrates the applicability of the software so we can continue to provide better services for our residents. Guys, this is a big deal, especially in wake of Miami hurricane season coming up. Miami is looking to do even more cryptocurrency adoption, and Florida, which is where we're based actually, we're only about 4 or 5 hours from Miami, is looking to become something like what Wyoming has become to cryptocurrencies, a safe haven for Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and blockchain technology. I've told you guys before, and I will tell you many times again, one of the big signs of cryptocurrency mass adoption is when governments start adopting aspects of Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and blockchain. The reason that we use the US dollar and the yen and the pound and the euro and all these other fiat currencies is because you have to pay taxes in them. Quite frankly, if you could pay taxes in any currency that you want, then whatever currency was the most capable of holding value over time would naturally become the dominant currency. The reason these currencies are so prevalent is because they are able to be paid taxes with, and they're the only thing you can pay taxes with. The very first step to allowing us to pay taxes with cryptocurrency is allowing us to use Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in the government. That's why this is such a big story. Peter Thiel, the PayPal co-founder and venture capitalist who has become a Bitcoin maximalist in his own words, is worried that China may be supporting Bitcoin as a tool against the foreign and monetary policy of the United States. Which, by the way, he's probably right. But the thing is, China doesn't know what they're getting into because China doesn't actually have any control over Bitcoin. Bitcoin is anti-government. Bitcoin is anti-central currencies. China has no ability to actually control Bitcoin. Anyway, we're going to keep reading through this here. Mr. Thiel spoke at a virtual event hosted by conservative nonprofit Richard Nixon Foundation. There he was asked to comment on China's central bank digital currency, CBDC, as a potential threat to the U.S. dollar status as the global reserve currency. From China's point of view, they don't like the U.S. having this reserve currency status because it gives a lot of leverage over oil supply chains and all sorts of things like that. He also said that internal stablecoin in China will amount to little more than some sort of totalitarian measuring device. At the end of the day, guys, Bitcoin is a non-governmental currency. It's one of the first times in human history that we have seen a currency that is mass adopted that the government has not mandated be used. It's happened in history, but recently in history, over the last few hundred years, it's relatively rare. We use the US dollar because the US government says that we have to pay taxes in it. We have to use the euro if you live in the European Union. We have to use the British pound if you live in Britain because these are government currencies that have been forced upon us. But the thing is, when you have something forced upon you, you don't have the choice to pick what is best for you. It's a very important concept. Let me say that again. When you have something forced on you, you don't have the ability to choose what is best for you. You have to trust that whoever is forcing it on you has your best interest at heart. And I think we all know that that's not something we can trust the government to do. The good thing about Bitcoin is that Bitcoin is unable to be controlled by any central authority, whether it's China or the US government or the European Union or whomever. The fact of the matter is this. China can launch a central bank digital currency all they want, but Bitcoin will always prevail because Bitcoin is decentralized, and that decentralization backs up its limited supply, and therefore Bitcoin has value and will take over federal currencies all throughout time. It's just going to happen. We are going to move towards digital, decentralized currencies, and it's a very big deal. So Peter Thiel is making a good point that China might use this to try and attack the U.S. the U.S. reserve currency status with the U.S. dollar. It's not going to work because Bitcoin is going to do that instead. Ethiopia's economy has experienced strong, broad-based growth, averaging 9.4% a year from 2010 to 2011. For context, America's GDP growth hovers around 2%. China's GDP growth is actually, in some years, lower than Ethiopia's GDP growth. Ethiopia's real gross domestic product growth slowed down to 6.1% in 2019-2020 due to COVID-19. Ethiopia's GDP may be low at $100 billion US. Here's the thing. It's one of the fastest growing economies in Africa. You extrapolate its current economic growth 10 years from now, it'll be one of the powerhouses of economic growth in the entire world. I could very easily see Ethiopia becoming a G10 summit country in the next 10 to 15 years. And if they're building their governance systems on Cardano, then Cardano's adoption is going to grow with this country. Ethiopia was a country that wasn't doing very well for itself 20 years ago. All of Africa was, for reasons that we're not going to get into in this stream. The fact of the matter is the African continent is one of the fastest growing economic regions in the entire world. And when Bitcoin and Cardano and other blockchain technologies penetrate that market, it is going to grow up with Bitcoin.